Hey bitches, welcome back to another episode of Confessionals. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about fame and how I believe that desiring fame or having a strong desire for fame is for people that are deeply, deeply traumatized. The reason I believe this is because I think a lot of people that have gone through a lot of trauma in their lives have used the idea of fame or have fantasized or daydreamed about fame as a form of escapism because I think the picture that being famous paints is being seen, being loved, being recognized, being applauded. It really kind of just gives you or shows that it gives you what your parents are supposed to give you, what your caregivers are supposed to give you. So if your caregivers didn't give you that and then fame, you see it's everywhere around you, like it's on TV, it's on the magazines you read, it's on your phone. Of course you're going to desire that because you didn't grow up with it, you don't have it. So at a grand scale like that, especially with all the material benefits that it gives you, and if you grew up poor, it just provides everything that you needed growing up, or at least it appears to be that way, right? And I do think that for the most part most people just want to be seen and they want to be recognized. I know for myself, growing up, I I remember I mentioned this last episode, but I have my memory goes way back to when I was like two years old. And I remember when I was 3, I really liked, obviously, like any other kid, playing pretend. And my grandpa was really encouraging with like my hobbies and what I like to do. Like I always loved to make up stories and play pretend. And I loved watching TV. I loved watching novelas. And when I was 3, he told me, "Oh, you can do that someday. You could be like one of those kids on TV." And ever since he told me that, the idea never escaped my mind. And he died a year later. So I only really got to be with him from ages 0 to 4, and I only remember 2 to 4. And 2 is very blurry. Like I don't remember much. So yeah, I mean, that idea was just in my head, and after he was gone, I didn't really have any adult to like validate me or see me or play with me or pay attention to me. So that like it makes total sense why I was so obsessed with being famous all the way up until my 20s and why that kept nudging at me. And it was really hard for me to differentiate between desiring fame and desiring pursuing my art and being successful at it. Because I think for certain things, if you get to a certain level of success, you achieve some level of fame. And for acting and for singing and the arts, it's a pretty big, they're pretty close together. You can't really tell the difference. So I had a hard time knowing how to split the two up. And there was even a moment a few years ago, maybe like 1 or 2 years ago, when I really believed that there was nothing wrong with desiring fame, that it was just like a normal desire to have as a person, especially as a person pursuing the arts. And to some extent I still think that's true, but I think the level of obsession and black and white thinking that I had was just not okay, right? Like now I think I am more so okay with however my life turns out, as long as it's on my terms and I am happy. Whereas before, I had to have this. Like I had to be successful at acting. I had to be famous. And thinking in absolutes like that, I mean, that just sets you up to a lot of unhappiness. And even if you do achieve that, it's unstable because with things like fame, that could really be gone at any moment. Like you could be what do you call them? Like those has-been? Like you could turn into a has-been. So, yeah, I had a hard time differentiating between the two, and later eventually with lots of therapy, I realized that what I really wanted and needed was validation and recognition for my art. And that doesn't always translate to fame. So now I took a break from acting and artistic pursuits. And now that I'm starting over, I am just a lot more relaxed. And a few days ago, I got an audition for this like big project and with a celebrity cast. And I got so nervous. I didn't even enjoy the audition because I was just like, it was a lot of content to go through. It was like, they asked for so many fucking scenes, which was hard to do in just a few days. But yeah, it was also celebrity cast. So it was a combination of a lot and then celebrity cast. And I really questioned, I'm like, do I want this? And and I do want it, right? Like I want to keep acting and I want to make stuff that matters. I really, really do. But I'm also okay if I'm not successful at acting. Like I just want to have a stable income. I want to be with the love of my life, maybe have children and just be happy and travel and a calm life. Like now my desires are so different. Like I don't just desire that calm life, but I think I see the virtue in that. And sometimes that to me is more alluring than the glitz and the glam and the attention and the harassment. And I was also thinking like as a woman, I get fucking harassed on the street all the time by men. And sometimes I have men, like I catch men taking pictures of me and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is what famous people go through. But everybody does it, right? And it's different, because men are being perverted and when it's not men, they're just being weird. But it still sucks. So I thought like, damn, like would I want my loved ones going through that? Like I don't think so. So now I'm in a spot where I love acting so much. I love writing. I love this art. And the only reason I'm doing it is just because I love it. So I don't really care for the outcome. And if the outcome is a success, then I'll prepare for that when that happens, right? Like it'll always be in the back of my mind just in case, but I am totally okay now if it doesn't happen, which is a crazy place to be at because even last year, I worked in absolutes. Like I had to have this, otherwise, I wouldn't be happy. And I was so stubborn, even though my therapist and I knew in my head that that wasn't healthy, I was okay with it not being healthy. But it's so stupid. Like, it's so stupid to be okay with being unhealthy or not helping yourself or being in a negative space. Like, why be okay with that? I mean, if it's outside of your control, fine, but I'm completely in control of my perspective. So, yeah. Things have changed a lot and it's giving me a lot of peace of mind. And yeah, I my trauma is healing, bruh. I'm healing. One other thing that I've also seen when it comes to desiring fame is ego. And I think even for a lot of people that have trauma, ego is always at the forefront. Even if what is the other thing at the forefront is feeling seen, wanting to be validated, feeling loved. I think that can be very easily paired with ego a lot of the times because the type of validation that you're seeking is from strangers, from people that you don't know. Um, when the real validation that you needed was from your caregivers and your family. So it's a different type of love, a different type of validation. And ego blinds you because you just crave what looks best and what would make you feel best or what you think is going to make you feel best because that's not always the way that it turns out. But there are other people that I've seen that are just fucking pure pure narcissists, and they are crazy nuts in the head. And I met these people in my first acting class, and you meet them at a lot of acting classes. Like I feel like a lot of artistic stuff that requires you to be in the limelight attracts a lot of those types of people. So I saw a lot of young people in their 20s that had money, had daddy's money. And some of them were actually pretty talented, some weren't, but a lot of them were. And the only reason they were doing this or trying hard is because they wanted the fame, because they wanted to be seen, because they had a big ego, because they thought they were all that and they were better than everybody. And some of them, because they were talented, that made it worse. And also, just a thing to consider, a lot of those people that were talented had been acting since children, and their parents had put them in classes since they were very, very little. So they've had a lot of formal training, and that is why they're so good. But which is not bad, right? Like I would, if my kids wanted to do that, then I would, and I had the money. I mean, I would only have kids if I had money, but yeah, if they wanted to do that, I would for sure encourage it. And I think that's a great thing. But it's not great. It's just, the type of person that has had that, right? Like if a good person had all that privilege, they would know. They would be humble about it. And no, but these people are, yeah, lots of ego. Some people just want to be famous, and it's very obvious that they are narcissists and they are rude and not very good people. And then there's the people that are traumatized that just want to be loved. And both of those are very bad in different ways. What I believe at my core is that nobody should desire fame in that way. Like everybody, most people are not going to be famous. Like everybody should be okay with not having that crazy A-list level of fame, even D-list. It's not what it's amped up to be. And I mean, a lot of celebrities have spoken on like how miserable they are. There's so much addiction. Do you all notice that a lot of celebrities die young too? They die so young because they just, like, that amount of power, that amount of money can drive people on the deep end. So, yeah, I just don't think it's normal to want to be famous that bad. I don't think it's normal. I think it's normal to want to be successful in your art. And what that means is that you'll be famous if you're an actor or a singer, right? Or you'll acquire some level of fame. I think it's normal to desire success. I don't think it's normal to desire fame. And the difference between, as an artist at least, maybe not in, maybe this doesn't apply in other fields, but as an artist, when you desire success, you know how slim your chances are, so you are okay with not getting to that level. Like you are okay with just the fact that you be allowed to do your art, whether you are successful at it or not, because you're doing it out of pure joy and pure love for it. So that's the place where I'm at right now. I just want to have the stability and the means and the time to make art, to make my art, and to keep auditioning. And yeah, and that's it. If I'll keep working on being successful without the attachment to the outcome, because what really matters to me now is having a community, being close to my loved ones, having friends, and and not needing money. Like those are really my core needs. So achieving success would just be a huge blessing on top, and that is something that I could prepare for it when the time comes. And I don't really have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it. Like I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's that. So I think it's important for people that have a lot of PTSD and childhood PTSD to reconsider their priorities, because sometimes our priorities are shaped by our trauma, and sometimes those priorities that were shaped by our trauma are what saved us in those difficult moments. Like me listening to The Climb by Miley Cyrus at 14 years old, walking from my theater class to my other classes, that moment I will still cherish forever, because it was one of the few moments in my teen life and childhood where I felt I felt hopeful and optimistic about the future, and I felt some sort of peace and relief. Like betting my future on this crazy dream was everything for me. And I still have that dream and I still desire it. But now my mentality is a lot more flexible to where I know that I can still do my art, and I can feel fulfilled even without that. Like there's other dreams that I have formed that are way more important than fame and success. Like, you know, having great fulfilling friendships, having a partner, like an amazing partner that loves me and takes care of me, and maybe eventually having, like, it's never been a dream for me to have children, but now, because I have such a great partner, is something that I would consider in the future, way way in the future, but I would consider it now. So my life has been shaped now in such a beautiful and healthy way to where I feel more peaceful and more happy. And there's multiple ways that my life could turn out, and I'll be fine. So yeah, my path is no longer happiness and unhappiness. My path is just like so many my life is so many paths, and they're all happy. They are all happy. And maybe there's some that I'm like, oh, maybe I kind of want that one right now, or maybe I kind of want that one. But however life turns out, because my priorities and my values and my mental health and my physical health are in order, then everything's just gonna be fine, dude. Like, I don't want to stress anymore. Like, I really, really don't. I'm 29 years old, and I know some people may consider that too early to be exhausted, but I am exhausted. I'm tired of just all the shit that I went through, and from like 25 and under, even 26 and under, because moving to LA had its rough parts, but mostly 25 and under. I I'm tired of all of that, and now I just want peace and I want love, and I want to be able to make my art. So yeah. Yeah. It's important. I'm glad that I let go of that stubborn ego that was just pushing me to, like, I had to be successful or else. I'm glad I tore that down, and now I'm just, even like acting feels better. Like I feel like I wouldn't be as burnt out because I don't really care much about the outcome. I care more about the art that I make. So yeah, before this gets too redundant, I'm done, bitches. That concludes today's mini episode. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys have like any opinions on what I talk about, if y'all are interested in being a guest, let me know and we can arrange that, because I'm starting to feel like it would be cool to have other people's opinions on the podcast. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.